group where we are cultivating peace, patience, and productivity as spiritually attuned go-getters. If you're watching the rerun, the replay, there it is. If you're watching we might be a rerun someday, but if you're watching the replay of this, welcome to YouTube. Feel free to go ahead and skip ahead to the 2-minute mark. We are here with life coach Kristin Anderson-Wolff, and I'm going to introduce her a little more later, but right now I have to show her as we're waiting for people to join us. My daughter made this bracelet for me today at my office out of rubber bands, and then she broke apart a clothespin. If you get the Cheetos, I'll help you pour them, okay?
I want some popcorn.
Okay, you're gonna have to wait for that. Okay, so I bring up office supplies with you, Kristin, because in one of our mastermind group sessions that we were a part of, you had the coolest thing on your desk that helped in your creative process.
No, wait, you're talking about my bracelet?
Mm-hmm. You would spin it and it would tell you what to do next or what was on your list next.
Oh, yeah. You mean this?
Yes. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. I've forgotten the name of it now. But the idea is that it connects with a Bluetooth to your phone or computer, and you can list categories of apps. And when you put it in its stand, it starts timing how much time you spent on that task. So if it's exercise or reading, or especially if you're billing hours, you can say, when am I doing paperwork and when is it client time, or any of those things. So I used it as an accountability kind of a factor when I just had multiple tasks and I wanted to demonstrate like how much time I was spending on email versus meetings versus, all kinds of different things. So yeah, I love it. And you can go in and you can modify the hours. Like if you forgot to flip it, right? You go in and adjust it so it doesn't show 20 hours of client contact. So I noticed that somebody asked to join Cultivating Sanctuary. Did you see that?
Yeah, so anyone can watch it. They don't have to be a part of the group to watch it. If they want to comment or ask a question, you'll have to join the group. So I will make sure to watch that too. Welcome to our viewers. Go ahead and comment below. Where are you watching from tonight? Since we're kind of still quarantined, what state are you in? Or if you're not in the States, if you're Tim from Belfast, I'm sure he's asleep though, but comment below what state are you from? Where are you watching this from tonight? And Kristin Anderson-Wolff is here with us. She and our paths crossed circa 2011, back at, 2010. That's crazy. That's 10 years ago. That's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And she is a digital guru. She was one of the big dogs at Bethel Seminary years ago, starting their online learning program, right?
Yeah, I joined about a year after things got going. So I was in a course the first year of the program's existence and then started working with it the next 15, 16 years.
Yes. And also a youth pastor, seminary trained. I'm feeling like you were not a senior pastor.
No, I did youth ministry prior to seminary. I did children's ministry a couple different times during seminary. Had the opportunity to preach a lot in my church, which was a real gift. But ultimately, working with that online program was the way I pastored. So I got to pastor pastors. And then I didn't pursue ministry from that. But I did get to work next as the director of online education at the Hazelden Betty Ford Foundation. So I got to work with people who were becoming drug and alcohol counselors. So in both instances, I got to work with people who were preparing to do work with people and work that mattered.
Definitely.
And that's why I cared about online education, because of what we were teaching, not because it was online education.
Right. Yeah. And you're also a comedian. Any lesson or sermon I've ever heard you give, I am like crying off all my makeup and laughter because you also have the spiritual gift of wit.
Oh, that's funny. Do you know the scariest moment I would ever have writing a sermon is if I didn't know where I was going to be funny. Well, wait, this is so serious. Crack a joke. Not like, I don't know. I don't know how to tell a story with a punchline, but I do know how to make fun of things that I think are just funny.
So funny. Oh my gosh. So funny. And you can enjoy, dear viewer, you can enjoy connecting and learning from the amazing gifts and wisdom of Kristin Anderson-Wolff at her website, anderfullife.com. And she is a life coach with so many different amazing opportunities, whether you want to work with a group or work one-on-one. It's just, and because she's such a digital native, it has to be one of the prettiest websites I've ever cyber stalked someone through. So
that makes me feel really good. Because I actually do care about aesthetics. So
yeah. And all your own photography on Instagram and social media, because you're also a photographer, and it's so pretty to see. And obviously you're getting a compliment overload because I've been quarantined for about 65 days now. So my words of affirmation has to go somewhere.
Yeah, as long as it's still sincere, we're good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Very sincere. And I'm so glad you're here. I will stop giving compliments, and because I know people are here tonight to watch and learn from you.
Okay.
And so post any questions or comments below. We've had so many great fellow spiritually attuned go-getters joining us on Tuesday nights. And you are bringing some unique tips that I think lots of people are excited about, because there's a qualifier. These tips apply to you if, so I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah. Oh, well, thanks. Well, let me just give you a little bit of an introduction to me. I mean, I know Meg has said some things, but for about 30 or more years of my professional life, I was always working for somebody else, and I was on a team. And that all shifted this fall. Well, I left my last job a year ago, but this last fall, I went into business for myself as a life coach. So now it's me. It's me. I make it happen. And I was just in the place building this business where I was like really getting stoked about launching. I had created my website. I was doing stuff that I thought was cool in social media. And my coach, who's helping me start, had encouraged me to really start doing the face-to-face networking. So I was all set to do face-to-face networking, and then a pandemic hit. And it kind of bottomed us out in terms of income coming in. It made everything a little bit more scary. And I really lost my footing. People started using online tools differently, and so I wasn't seeing the same responses. I really felt like I was at a loss. And then I got sick. I got a sinus infection, and I didn't really know what it was. But for about 6-8 weeks, I just got knocked out, and just constant headaches. And then depression set in. And I've always dealt with depression, like, again, probably easily 30 years. But it was just hard teasing out what was going on, but I felt so blah. And so when I looked at what the topic was, I thought, oh my goodness, I don't know. How do I talk about peace or patience or productivity? Because those haven't been what have been marking my life, right? And so I just decided, I know some true things. And these are the things that have gotten me back up and running. These are the things that I think are true, whether you have a boss and a team to work with, or whether you're working solo. I think all of these points work. So I'm going to share 3 things and maybe a couple of caveats. And I hope to do that in, about 15, 17 minutes, something like that. So there's some time for Q&A. And I just got affirmation from Meg that I'm on the right on the right track. So here's where I think we have to start. When we're in a place where we're not doing what we wish we were doing, what we need to be doing, when we're not producing the way we need to or want to, I think we have to start by grounding ourselves in our purpose. We have to start with our why. And I say this because it's one thing to have somebody else saying, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this, where is this? And it's another thing to just know in your core what you're about and work from that core. The image I might use is Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down because they've got this core, right? And that centers them and that keeps them grounded. So I think we've got to start with that core, and I think we've got to work in a way that reinforces the core. And so I would say getting at some things that are in our sweet spot help us reconnect to our core. So for me, when I was sick, keeping appointments with people I was coaching made all the difference, because I would get done with those coaching experience and I would be like, yes, that worked. I was made for this. This is good. I love this. And I would keep going. So start by grounding yourself and knowing your why and move on. And you might not have a lot of clarity about your why right now. Your why might be as much as saying, I need this paycheck. Okay, run with that now. It might be bigger and loftier. I want to change the world by serving this group of people. Fabulous. So start with the why you have and try to incorporate things that are in your sweet spot, things that bring you joy, and move from there. Second thing.
So powerful.
Thanks. Second thing I would advise is start simply and build momentum. So it's my understanding that in the 12-step tradition, there's an encouragement to do a thing. Do a thing. There's an app that I have used to build healthy habits called Fabulous, and I love it. It is indeed fabulous. And they start really simply. And they start by saying, drink water first thing when you get up from bed. Floss your teeth. Brush your teeth. And then they start adding exercise. And they'll say, do 10 push-ups. And then if you haven't done that, they'll come back and they say, don't aim so high. Do a push-up. Because they're all about starting simply. And I just love the way that works. So do a thing. And let that
takes so much pressure off.
You don't have to make it perfect. Good enough is good enough. And I think it can be a temptation, especially when we feel like we're working from a deficit, that we feel like we need to produce that much more to get us out of the hole. Nope. Just do a thing, do it good enough, and count it as a win. Just count it as a win. Don't say, but none of that negative talk. Count it as a win and build some momentum. And as we're building momentum, I think we're trying to move to our core responsibilities, our key responsibilities. So if your thing isn't at the center of what your job is about or what you're trying to accomplish in your family, you can move toward that over time by doing one thing at a time. And as you get some momentum, as you get your traction, your footing, you can get closer to that center area. But what if you don't have the momentum or energy to do a thing? I'm just going to suggest that you do anything, and in particular, that you try to do an anything for someone else. Not for someone else because it's a coworker who's saying, I need this, I need this, I need this, but something that honors somebody else, that encourages somebody else. Do something that feels good and that maybe isn't about you. When I was sick, I was writing notes of encouragement. I was starting a kind of pen pal relationship with with a young man who's in a hard place in his life. And I just needed to do some things that were not about me. And that felt good. And I'm an extrovert, and so connecting with other people is an encouraging piece to me, and it's life-giving, and it doesn't take energy as much as it feeds my soul.
Amen to that.
Okay, so we're going to start by grounding ourselves in our purpose and in our why, and then we're going to start simply by doing a thing and moving forward by building some momentum. And then the third thing is we need to face our fears. So
Yikes.
I mentioned being somebody who deals with depression, but I deal with anxiety and depression. Those two things are coupled for me. And I realized that I used to get real avoidant about anxiety. If something was making me nervous, I didn't want to look at it. It's almost like it lives in my peripheral vision, that thing that I'm afraid of. And I really think in order for us to start being productive, we have to bring the thing we're afraid of and face it. You know? And I think we need to decide if it's true. And we need to, if it is true, then we need to decide what's in our control. We maybe need to think about what we've done in the past that allowed us to have victory over that area of fear. We need to remind ourselves of the strength we do have and the capacity we do have. And if it's not true, then we need to ask ourselves, why are we still giving that power? And maybe we need to reframe that fear and see it as an opportunity to demonstrate our strength. But sometimes when we're not getting things done, it's because there's something that we're afraid of and it just gets in our way. And at some point, we're going to have to face up to that. And I think sooner than later. So if you're really off your game, start with the positive and do a thing and get the momentum, as I said. But then at some point, you're going to have to face your fears. So for me, I would get real avoidant when I was teaching classes at the seminary. And it was really hard to grade because I had these super high expectations for myself about the brilliant feedback that I was going to give. And I wanted to do so much and do the right thing by students that I just paralyzed myself. And so I kept avoiding it. And I had this fear of, I suppose, not being enough. And if I had faced it sooner and said being good enough is good enough, then I could have gotten through it. But I kept letting it linger over here and I just needed to bring it front and center and work with it. So those are the three things that I want to say as primary input. But then I want to talk about two other things, which is, so this is my way of squeezing in a fourth and a fifth point, Meg.
Oh, please do. Please do. I love it. Content overload is guaranteed in this Facebook group. So
okay,
the more
good.
content, the better.
Yeah, okay, good. Well, one point is that I really think when we're not being productive, we need to engage our people. We need to find those people who encourage us. And we need some people that we're honest with who can keep us moving. So when I was sick, I got on the phone with one of my sisters who's like my great champion these days on this business. And she's like, oh, that sounds really hard, but you can't quit. You've got to do this. You were born for this. And I would get in touch with my coaching group and they would say, oh, we're really sorry you feel like this. We believe in you. You know, how are you doing? They'd check in. And then I'd text, we have a sisters text group that goes around. So I was texting my 3 sisters, telling them how I was feeling. And one time I just admitted I just am so discouraged because I I don't know, is this in my head? Is that why I'm sick, or what's going on? And, one of my sisters said, no, don't do that to yourself. You're sick. Just, it's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I just needed my people,
Mm-hmm.
I just needed those people who could speak in encouraging ways to me. And I can imagine that there are times, like, if we don't know what our purpose is, that there might be other people who can help us see those themes in our life that seem to demonstrate what our kind of core beliefs are. And that can be helpful. Ultimately, we have to make it ours. It has to be our why, not just what other people see. We need to name it for ourselves. But sometimes we need other people to affirm those things so that we can move forward. And then the other thing I want to add is that we need to get help when we need help. I realized that this depression that I hit because I'd been sick, because I was overwhelmed by the COVID virus and the uncertainty of those things, that this depression was different. And so I got in touch with my doctor and, made an adjustment on my antidepressant. I was taking one, I don't know what you know about antidepressants. I was taking one that raised the bottom so that I didn't get as low. But there's another kind of antidepressant that gives you a boost, that gives you some oomph into your life. And that's what I didn't have, and I needed it. And so I would say, well, I think the three principles that I shared are true. I would also say that we need our people, we need our community to speak into our lives on those three areas. And sometimes we just need to get help. And when we need to get help, there's no shame in going and getting help, whether it's seeing a life coach, seeing a therapist, talking to a doctor, those sorts of things. So that's what I want to share kind of at the get-go. I really wanted to make sure that we had time for questions, Meg. I certainly have more words that I could use, but if we could entertain questions, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, so please, viewers, friends who are watching us on their phones or computer screens, please drop any questions in the comments below over these 5 amazing tips from life coach Kristin Anderson-Wolff. And I have a question for you myself with the different coaching programs that you offer. Let's say someone had an idea, had a goal they wanted to chase, but were just really struggling to feel productive right now. What type of the different offers that you have would best meet their needs? Would it just be best? I know you do a 45-minute, you do a free, the initial call is free.
Yep.
And which is amazing.
Yeah, thank you for asking that. I'm still developing a lot of what I'm doing. I think that in most instances, starting people with a 6-session package where we would either meet 6 weeks back to back or 6 times every other week, that's about the right pace for people so you can get some momentum going. That's kind of the key. And what I love about life coaching is that we let the person that we're working with really set the agenda. So nice. I'm going to use some tools. There's a life wheel that helps us get at whether our lives are in balance. We use the Enneagram that can help sort out who we are at our healthiest self and when we're under stress. But in the midst of all of that, I really just want my client to say, what do they want to work on? And we take it from there. And here's one of the pieces that I love about life coaching too. We come to life coaching believing that our clients have the answers inside of them. So you don't come to a life coach to give you the answers and tell you what to do, but to have somebody who helps you find that truth. So if you're not sure, for example, what your why is, a life coach can help you get to that. And not tell you what it is, but find it inside you so that it can flourish. Does that help?
Oh, that's so powerful. Yes, definitely. definitely.
And the thing is, I've seen it work when other people have coached me, and it's just been really powerful for me as a change, as a tool of change and healing and growth in my own life.
That's so powerful. That is, yeah. I love the different analogies I've heard describing the difference between a therapist, a life coach, and a mentor. And the analogy comes like that it's like a car and the client is driving, and a therapist is going to be in shotgun, spending a lot of time looking in the rearview mirror because there's some stuff we have to look back and heal. And then a mentor is going to be in the back seat of the car, driving, doing a lot of backseat driving, saying, I got exactly this result, do these exact steps to get my exact result, which is there's a time for all of these. And then a life coach is in shotgun saying, you want to go, where do you want to go? Vegas? Where do you want to go? New York City? And so, there's more of a, like you said, that there's this belief the client has what he or she needs within them, and you're going to help them bring that answer, that direction out. Yeah. So that's powerful.
Really good. Often we talk about where there is trauma in a person's life or addiction that's still present. Those are the kinds of things therapists need to attend to. Obviously, therapists also do some coaching. But it's more for the coach to be able to say, we don't have the equipment to deal with trauma that's still rearing its head and addiction that's still active. Those are really beyond our skill set. But beyond that, we can help people think about career moves, kind of vision casting for the next part of life, all kinds of kind of anything that a person might just want some help on. Yeah.
The next question is from Tim, who says, do you have any tips about how to prioritize tasks when there are few things to do? Hope I read that right, Tim. Prioritize tasks when there are a few things to do. Usually it's the opposite problem.
If you have competing priorities. Yes, that's how I'm hearing it. Is that correct?
Yeah. Tim, correct us if we're misreading your question. I want to do it justice.
Well, the time management gurus tell us that starting with the hardest thing, make sure we get to it. That's what time management gurus might tell us. My approach, I think, is a little bit different from that. Again, I think I'm more about trying to create some momentum. And so I tend to look at tasks to think in terms of what kind of energy it requires and when in a day I have that kind of energy. So I tend to be better at big picture items in the morning when my thoughts are fresh. So if I have a project that requires me to think big picture and not have my thoughts cluttered with a lot of other things, I'm going to try and get at that in the morning. If I have something that's about putting nuts and bolts together and responding and keeping people informed, I'm going to try to do that kind of work in the afternoon because my brain and my energies are a little bit lower, and I already feel like I've gone in a number of directions, so I'll try to respond that way. So again, time management people often say do the hardest thing. I think if a person's having trouble getting going, I'd do the thing that feels like the sweet spot. And then beyond that, I'd look at what kind of energy that task requires, and I would try to align that with the time of day when I have that sort of energy. And I would go from there.
Yeah, that's really helpful. And Tim responded that yes, there are many tasks, how to prioritize them. So yeah, I can definitely think of many times that it helped me to do work from the sweet spot first to get momentum and to get to quiet the negative self-talk, and then keep going once I got started.
Well, I'm a 2 on the Enneagram, and
I was going to guess that. I was like, she's a 9 or a 2, but I don't want to say anything.
Yeah. I'm a 2, and so I like making people happy, and so I would often make the mistake of doing email first, in which case other people were setting the agenda for my day.
Oh, that's powerful.
And I would have been better off looking at what I needed to do and take control of the agenda and how I used my time. But I wanted to please people or appease people, and answer quickly or any of those things. And so I would answer emails all day and never kind of carve out the time I needed to think and to create and do the work that I needed to do.
Wow, such a life suck. The email hole. It could be just a life energy suck.
Yeah. And I suspect we're going to see the same from texts. I mean, I write email length texts now because people do less email. So I just write really long texts, which is I probably need to rethink. But again, we need to find ways to communicate helpfully to people. But again, not have their agenda drive ours. We need to honor their agenda, honor what they need, and factor that in. But we need to have a clear sense of what we need to accomplish in order to be successful with the things that we're called to do.
Yeah. I know you love all the research and all the content like I do. And I once read a study the New York Times article that said every time we're in a creative flow or an empathetic flow with someone, we're really connected in a moment of empathy, and our phone dings at us to check our email, it can take anywhere from 18 to 23 minutes to get, after checking that email, to get our brains back to that point of creative flow or empathetic focus. And so it makes me think of that. I think that it's on other email providers, but Gmail has a Gmail pause that I need to get back into using, and it only lets you check your email. You can set up any 2-hour time period during the day that you'll check it, and that's the only time your inbox will be open to you. And so it's this, you're not checking it every time it dings. And if someone, say if you set it from 3 to 5 p.m., if someone emails you at 2 p.m., Gmail will send it back to them an automated email that says, I won't see this until 3 to 5 Central Standard Time. If an emergency, please text me. And I was doing that for about 2 to 3 years, and it was so helpful. And then as you shared, a job change occurred, and I got out of the habit, and I miss it so much. Although during quarantine, it has been nice when it's just me and my 5-year-old offspring. It's been nice to have adult conversation on any way I can get it. But I need to get back to Gmail. I need to get back to Gmail pause, because you make a really good point that's implicitly giving other people power over my agenda for the day.
Yeah. Well, I think the place that I found the kind of energy drain was if I open social media first thing in the morning and get caught up in what people are saying. So I found
so true.
So as I was thinking through my ideal day, I started thinking about a funnel, kind of going this way. And so I wanted to do big ideas in the morning, and then think about how to implement those big ideas, start sketching it out. And then after lunch, I wanted to think about the implications for people and communicate with people. So
oh my gosh, this is genius.
I wanted it to go as a funnel. And I probably would say a similar kind of a funnel maybe in the week, so that Mondays are big idea days. I wanted to make sure that I am reading and studying and expanding my thoughts, not just going on based on what I know. And that's what I would like, so that I have something of substance to write about in my blog, that it's not just thinking. I want it rooted in research. and rooted in real expertise, right? And I want it to be fresh. So I thought if I carved out that kind of time in the morning, then my time for people is more in the afternoon. And I also know I want to be available to coach in the evenings, since that's often when people are free to see somebody. So then I can keep doing people things in the evening. But I rarely switch gears in an afternoon or evening to think about big ideas. I almost never do it that way. So that's kind of, that funnel idea is sort of the way that I've been thinking about how my energy rolls. So that's the way I'd like to be working.
Oh, that is so good. I definitely relate to that for sure. That is so powerful. And how much do we pay you for that funnel idea? I think I'm going to put that to use. I'm sure other people watching this are. That's amazing.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny to me that that I haven't seen it someplace else, because it just made sense to me. It's just a way to claim my day and my processes. And again, so in that way of thinking, I didn't touch social media until afternoon, because then I was ready to interact with people. And,
yes.
And then honestly, then I would think about where exercise fit. Actually being on my bike or being in the car, or as an extrovert being in conversation with somebody else, that's when I'm my most creative. And now that it's summer and it's getting hot here in Arizona, biking first thing in the morning is a great place to start having big ideas.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Oh, definitely. Are you an ENFJ?
ENFP.
Oh, I'm an ENFJ.
If I don't have,
we're so close.
Yeah, if I don't have J's or around me, people to nail.
That's why we're friends.
Yeah, like I've always had people on my team who had that, but if I didn't, I can be very J. I like to describe myself as, you'll appreciate this, I like to think of myself as widescreen high def, so that I can do big picture. I can see the big picture, widescreen, but I'm high def in terms of the details. But I'm more a P in the sense that I can pivot really quickly. So if somebody throws me something that I don't like or wouldn't pick, like a pandemic, normally, I can usually pivot. And say, okay, well, what's another way we can do this? How can we, So, widescreen high def.
Oh my goodness, this is so great. Yeah, I've seen all those gifts in you as a mentor and friend, and now as a life coach. That makes perfect sense why those gifts would be useful in serving others. Yeah. That's awesome. If I know people that are watching this with us, you want more Kristin Anderson-Wolff content, so I would encourage you to go over to anderfullife.com. I'll put the link in the comments below. You can tag her, and if you have any questions and comments, you can friend her. She of course gets to choose if she wants to be your friend. On Instagram, how can they follow you on Instagram?
I'm Anderful Life on Instagram, and I do have a page on Facebook, Anderful Life, and then my website where I do my blogging and those sorts of things. So yeah, I would be so happy to be able to meet with people. I know that this can. You might have put me in touch with somebody in this regard, but I'm using a model called Paying from the Heart for my work, in which I set up kind of the price that I'd really like to ask, but then there's another price that's below that if people evaluate their budgets and what they can do, there's a price that's lower, and we just trust that people will be able to pay what they can pay. And so I know that this is a rough time for a lot of people, and that people are rethinking their lives, and I would be so happy to work with others to find a life that is the right size for who they are. So who you are, those of you who are listening.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. So they would just head on over if they want to make that happen. They would go to anderfullife.com. And I think on your website, you tell the beautiful story of the name of your business. It has to do with your upbringing, your family, and there were the Anderful grandkids. And instead of the wonderful, there was a play on words with your last name, Anderson, right?
Yeah. So we refer to the family as the Anderfam. And the great grandkids are the Andergreats, and my siblings, the 6 of us, were the Andersibs. And I just got playing with that and decided I wanted to talk about being Anderful, being hopeful, being a life that's wonderful, a life that's purposeful and plentiful, all of those good things, faithful, and so that's where Anderful Life comes from. It's really a way to for me to honor my roots and to honor my parents who aren't with us any longer, but who have shaped who I am and my concern for other people. They live that out. They live very faithful and generous lives and cared about people. And I want to follow suit.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Well, to our viewers, thank you so much for being with us tonight. And if you would like to take steps to have a fully realized life, I love your catchphrase or your pitch on your website, fully realized life coaching, then Kristin Anderson-Wolff is here for you. And again, I'll put the link in the comments. So thank you, Kristin, for being so amazing and being able to hang out tonight.
Well, it's a complete gift to be here. I think of, in so many ways, you're the student teaching the teacher at this point, because you're creating, I don't know about that. You're creating so many good things online, and I'm delighted by what you are doing and feel really honored that I could be part of this. So thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye.